You don't feel broke. That's the problem. Because if you felt broke, you'd change something. But you don't. You feel fine, stable, functional, even slightly ahead compared to where you used to be. And that feeling, that quiet sense of I'm doing okay, is exactly what keeps you stuck. Not because you're failing, but because nothing feels urgent enough to fix. Let me ask you something. No pressure, just honesty. If your income disappeared for the next 60 days, how much of your current life would still exist? Your home, your habits, your routine, your identity, would it stay intact? Or would things start falling apart faster than you'd like to admit? Don't answer out loud. Just notice the reaction in your head, because that reaction, that's your level of control. And for most people, it's way lower than they think. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. You don't have a money problem. You have a control problem. And the more your life improves, the harder it becomes to see it. Because everything looks like progress. Better income, better lifestyle, better comfort. But what if that comfort is quietly removing your ability to choose? What if the life you're building only works under perfect conditions? And the moment something shifts, income, health, opportunity, everything starts to crack. That's the tension, because the goal was freedom. But somehow, it starts to feel like maintenance. And if you don't catch this early, it doesn't just stay the same. It compounds, quietly. 1. The illusion of financial progress. You get a raise. Not massive, but enough. Enough to feel like things are moving. So naturally, your life adjusts. You don't think about it too much. It just happens. You upgrade your environment a little. You stop worrying about small purchases. You start valuing convenience more. And to be fair, none of that is irrational. It actually feels like growth. Like you're finally stepping into a better version of your life. But here's the part most people miss. Your lifestyle doesn't wait for your awareness to catch up. It moves faster, way faster. You don't sit down and consciously decide, I'm going to increase my long-term financial dependency. No, it's quieter than that. It's automatic. Subscription here, upgrade there, slightly better version of everything. And suddenly, your baseline life becomes more expensive to maintain. Not because you chose it, but because you drifted into it. Pause for a second. Do you actually know what your life costs to sustain? Not roughly. Not in your head. Precisely. Most people don't. And that's where control starts slipping. Because if you don't know what it takes to maintain your life, you can't control it. You can only react to it. And reaction always comes late. Here's a sharper way to look at it. If your income is fueling a lifestyle you haven't fully examined, you're not progressing. You're expanding your dependency. And the dangerous part, it feels like success. This is where most people get trapped. Because nothing feels wrong until something changes. And when it does, you realize your life isn't flexible. It's fragile. 2. The comfort trap, identity versus control. Now let's go deeper. Because money is rarely just about money. It's about identity. Every upgrade you make doesn't just change your lifestyle. It changes how you see yourself. And more importantly, how you believe others see you. You move into a better place, that becomes you. You start eating differently, that becomes you. You adopt a certain lifestyle rhythm, that becomes your standard. And standards are powerful. Because once something becomes your standard, going backwards feels like loss. Even if it's temporary, even if it's strategic, even if it would actually help you long term. It still feels like loss. And humans don't like loss. So what do? We protect the lifestyle. We maintain the identity, even if it costs us control. Think about that. You don't keep your lifestyle because you need it. You keep it because you've attached yourself to it. That's the trap. And it's subtle. Because from the outside, it looks like discipline, like consistency, like having your life together. But internally, it creates pressure, a quiet kind. The kind that says, you can't mess this up. You have to keep this going. You can't go backwards. And suddenly, your decisions aren't based on freedom. They're based on maintenance. Quick pause. If you had complete freedom tomorrow, no expectations, no judgment, would you keep everything exactly the same? Or would you change more than you admit? Because that gap between what you have and what you'd choose, that's where control lives. And most people avoid looking at it. 3. The stability illusion. Let's talk about something that sounds safe. Stability. A steady income. Predictable schedule. Reliable routine. On paper, it's ideal. And to be clear, stability isn't bad. But it has a hidden side effect. It reduces your awareness of risk. When money arrives consistently, you stop thinking about how it's generated. You stop questioning its durability. You stop building alternatives. Because everything feels handled. And when things feel handled, you relax. You settle. You optimize your life around that stability, which sounds smart, until you realize something. Your entire life is now built on one assumption, that this continues. No disruption, no change, no interruption, just smooth ongoing flow. But real life doesn't work like that. And deep down, you know it. That's why even people with good income still feel uneasy sometimes. Not because they're ungrateful, but because something doesn't feel fully secure, and they can't quite explain why. Here's why. If one source funds your entire life, you don't have stability, you have concentration risk. And the higher your lifestyle climbs, the more that risk matters. Pause. If your income had to restart from zero, how long would your current life last? 30 days? 60 days? Maybe 90. And after that, what changes? What disappears? What becomes unsustainable? Because that timeline, that's your real level of control. Not your income, not your job, not your current situation. Your control. And most people don't measure that because it's uncomfortable. But ignoring it doesn't remove the risk. It just delays the moment you have to face it. 4. The discomfort moment. This might be you. Let's make this real. No judgment, just awareness. You feel like you're doing things right. You're earning. You're managing. You're not reckless. But at the same time, you're not building anything that runs without you. Your life works. But only if you keep showing up. Constantly. You take a break. Things pause. You slow down. Things tighten. You stop. Things start slipping. And that's the part that doesn't sit right. Because it means you're not in control. You're in motion. There's a difference. Control means your life can hold itself, even when you don't. Motion means everything depends on your continuous effort. And most people live in motion, not because they chose it, but because they never questioned it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If your life requires constant attention to sustain, you don't own it. You manage it, like a system that always needs input, always needs energy, always needs you. And at first, that feels normal, even productive. But over time, it becomes exhausting because there's no release, no margin, no real control, just ongoing maintenance. And this is where most people get stuck. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack ambition, but because they've built a life that looks successful, but isn't structurally free. And fixing that doesn't start with more money. It starts with seeing the system clearly. So if more money isn't the solution, what is? Control, but not the kind most people think. Not rigid, not extreme, not obsessive. Quiet control, the kind that reduces pressure instead of increasing it. The kind that gives you options without forcing decisions. The kind that makes your life feel stable. Not because nothing can go wrong, but because you're not exposed in the same way. Let's shift how you think about this. Wealth isn't about income. It's about independence from that income, and that only comes from structure, not effort. Structure. Here's what that actually looks like. 1. From earning to structuring. Most people focus on earning more, and yeah, that matters. But earning without structure just increases the scale of the problem. You make more, you spend more. You grow, your lifestyle grows with you. Nothing fundamentally changes. Structure changes that. Structure decides where money goes before you touch it. What gets built quietly in the background. What grows without needing attention. It's not about restriction. It's about direction. Because once your money has direction, you stop relying on constant decisions, and that's where control starts to feel natural, not forced. 2. From lifestyle to leverage. Lifestyle feels good. Leverage builds control, and they're not the same. Lifestyle consumes. Leverage compounds. One gives you short-term satisfaction. The other gives you long-term options. And here's the key. Leverage doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be simple. Ownership of things that continue working, even when you're not. Assets, systems, structures, things that don't reset to zero every month. Because if your financial life resets every 30 days, you're always starting over. And that's exhausting. Leverage changes that. It builds continuity, momentum, quiet growth. And over time, that creates something most people never experience. Stability without dependency. 3. From reaction to intentional design. Right now, most financial decisions are reactive. You earn, you adjust. You feel, you spend. You want, you upgrade. But control comes from designing your life before those moments happen. Deciding what matters, what doesn't, what you allow to grow, and what you keep contained. Not emotionally, not impulsively, but intentionally. Because if you don't design your financial life, it will be designed for you by convenience, by environment, by default. And default rarely leads to control. It leads to drift. Final shift. You don't need to overhaul your life. You don't need extreme changes. You don't need to cut everything that feels good. You just need awareness. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You start noticing where control leaks, where dependency builds, where your life expands without intention. And slowly, you adjust, not dramatically, but consistently. And that's enough. Because control isn't built overnight. It's built in quiet decisions, repeated over time, until one day, your life feels different. Not louder, not flashier, just lighter, more flexible, more yours. And here's the part most people don't realize. Even if you start building control, there's still something working against you. Something subtle, something almost invisible. It slowly increases your expenses, raises your standards, and pulls you back into dependency without you even noticing. It's not obvious, which is why it's dangerous. And if you don't understand it, you'll keep improving your income while staying in the same position, just at a higher level. So if this made you pause, even slightly, the next video breaks that down clearly. The invisible tax on your lifestyle. Watch that next. Because control isn't just about what you build. It's about what you stop letting quietly grow.